Hello there, and welcome to this soft relaunch of the Manifest Massively podcast. I am so excited to be back here with you. If you didn't already know, 2024 was a year that I really didn't post a lot of podcasts. And over the holiday season, got really inspired to relaunch. So here we are. And in that process, I went back and just looked at if I had any episodes that I had already recorded that just didn't get posted. And so the next three episodes were a few that were really poignant to my journey, and I really believe are going to be really inspiring to your manifestation journey, your life journey, your prosperity journey. It just chronicles some of what I went through, tells a little bit of my backstory, and they just felt like really pure, authentic episodes that were just perfect to share in this soft relaunch as I am recording brand new episodes for you. In addition, I wanted to make sure that you knew that I have spots available in my one-on-one coaching. So if you have been thinking about hiring a coach or you're just curious about what it would be like to work with me, I personally invite you to jump on a free breakthrough session, discovery call. These are zero pressure calls that are really just designed for us to get to know each other and for us to identify what it is that you're creating, what you're manifesting, what it is you're working on, and whether or not I would be a fit to work with you on that. So feel free to click the link in my website or in the show notes and book a call. I would love to have you. And without further ado, here is the episode. Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm so excited to connect with you and share everything that's been going on. What I'm about to share, I believe, is such a true testament to what can happen when you really both deepen and surrender to the manifestation process. I don't even know where to begin with timelines, but one thing I can say for sure is I've really committed myself to really deeply understanding the subconscious and the quantum physics of manifesting. Obviously, I've been manifesting for a long time. It's something I taught myself when I was 17, maybe even a little younger than that. I guess I'll just go ahead and share this story now. The first time I received this book called Creating Money, and it was from a healer that I worked with. I used the principles in that book, and that book, I still use that book to this day. There's just so many golden nuggets. But when I knew that manifestation was really going to be my path, was when I decided to move out of my house when I was 17. I actually didn't necessarily decide it. The house was being sold, and I either had to choose to live with my mom, who at the time was really mentally and emotionally unstable, or to go out on my own. I figured I was close enough to 18 that I could figure it out, but I had no idea how. And this was before I had gotten the book that I just mentioned, the Creating Money book. But I just did this deep prayer between me and the universe. I remember exactly where I was standing in the driveway of my childhood home. I was 17 at the time. And let me tell you, I put some energetic ripples into the universe. And long story short, I ended up meeting somebody through the junior college courses that I was taking. I would take the bus, and this person owned an apartment building in San Pedro where I grew up. And I was able to rent that apartment for $400 a month, cash under the table. Luckily, he was not a creep. And yeah, it ended up just being this miracle, and it gave me this opportunity to really heal myself and be away from the trauma that was being created inside my home, for lack of better terms. Anyway, that's like the core of where my love and my passion for manifestation as a way of life, as a personal growth tool, that's really for me where it all started. And I have no idea why I just went down that tangent, but maybe I was just meant to share that story so you could get to know me a little bit deeper. My point is, I've been manifesting since that time in many different capacities, in many different ways. Whether it was creating clients in my practice, whether it was manifesting relationships, eventually manifesting my husband. And here I am, right? Here I am in this new life, which when I think back to that girl, back to that 17-year-old, if she would have known that you would be married to the love of your life in this imperfect but solid, loving marriage, and at this moment, owning $1 million in real estate and traveling to different places, about to become a Croatian. So I'm just so grateful for that part of me that really committed to growth way back then. So anyway, present day, I've been super committed to really deepening. What's the next level? What's the deeper level? And the deeper you go, the more you expand. And part of that is really studying Joe Dispenza's work, because I just love how he bridges the quantum physics with the neuroscience and really gets into the nitty-gritty. In many ways, he has just so helped me already. I haven't even been to the retreat, but I signed up for the retreat because it's happening in Nashville, and that's only a 3-hour drive from me. So in the last, oh my gosh, I don't know, 90 days, I had this big trip to California. I was in California for 3 weeks. I was in Palm Springs, LA, and San Diego. I got to see my friends. I got to go see where my mom is buried, which I like to do at least once a year. And it's home. It's home. It's where I grew up. And there's connections there that I just really cherish. And California will always have this huge place in my heart. So grateful I got to spend a week there with Evan. And then while we were there, we bought a house. And it might sound a little impulsive because, yeah, we bought a house. So this has been a long time coming. It's not like we just woke up one day and we're like, we're going to do this. Like, we have been thinking about this, talking about this for years, at least 3 years, if not longer. I always wanted to have what I call like a foothold in California because it's my home, and particularly in the Palm Springs area where I lived for 15 years. You know that saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone or until you've let it go. And after leaving there, and I remember like there were so many things that I was unhappy about, and there were aspects of things that I was unhappy about. And then when I left, and again, like I am grateful for where I live. Like it's, oh my gosh, how much I've grown in so many different capacities. But all that to say, like in my heart, I really wanted to have a foothold in California. And so we'd been talking about it, and then another business opportunity had come across my screen. It was actually like very intuitively led to go down this path, and it was to purchase a spa. So if you don't know, I have a spa background. Really, in my early 20s is when I became a massage therapist, and I have worked in resort spas, country club spas, very high-end Southern California spas, and I've been a part of that industry. And then, of course, I had my own clientele and so on. And so it would be an appropriate purchase for me. There's just so much that I know about that style of business. And literally one day, I literally had this thought, maybe I should own a spa. And I literally had the thought of exactly which spa I would potentially buy. And that spa was the one that I worked at when I first moved to Kentucky. It was like my bridge job of like when I first landed here. Anyway, it was that night, or it was a very short time period between me having the thought and then me having the specific thought about the spa. And then I go on to those business. If you've ever Googled businesses for sale, there's like a website called Biz by Sell. Anyway, I go on to one of these things and it says there's a spa listed for sale. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I go down the rabbit hole of getting the information. And I'm like, what do I have to lose? I put the contact form in. And you guys, it was the exact spa that was for sale that I had thought maybe I could buy this one. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so, the alignment, the intuition, the accuracy, obviously I couldn't ignore that. So I started to go through that process to really figure out, would this be for me? And went back and forth in some real early on preliminary negotiations. And that was over the course of 6 months. And obviously that would have been a big purchase. And as I went through that process, more and more, I just realized that it wasn't aligned. It wasn't a fit. And I was so confused by this because I'm like, universe, spirit, I had this intuitive thought. It was so specific. It was so divinely guided. Why did this not happen? So as I just continued to let that process unfold, continue to really dig for the lesson, the growth opportunity, I just realized that the location and the things that were really important to the former owner of what would need to it just was not a fit in my heart. And so as things progressed in life, as they do, the conversation about purchasing a vacation rental came up. And so my husband and I just went ahead and moved forward, and we got pre-qualified because we were like, what the heck? We're going to California. Let's check it out. And eventually, of course, I worked with a realtor, actually really well known, or a friend of mine who I've known for 10 years. I actually lived with her. We were roommates when I manifested Evan, when I met Evan, my husband, my now husband. So anyway, we go through that whole process, and long story short, we ended up buying this house. And it was honestly the smoothest real estate transaction ever known to man. If you've ever bought a house, you know what that's in escrow and going back and forth, and are there multiple offers, and just all the things that can go along with that. And it was so smooth. There was like zero hitch. I was able to hire a property manager that I had a lot of faith in. Everything just came together. Everything was amazing. And as I reflected on this whole journey, which was, I think, about 6 to 9 months, I would say, in terms of like when I had that intuition to buy a business, that then led to this property, and thought, wow, this was such a journey and such a beautiful culmination. Like, what is there to really, what did I really learn from this? What was the whole point of this? And what it came down to was about me truly stepping into my own value and my own worth, and believing that I was fully worthy of what I truly desire, versus trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Could I have done an amazing job with that spa? Absolutely. I have the skill set for it, but it wasn't a fit. And there were just multiple things that kept showing up that were showing me it's not a fit, it's not a fit, it's not a fit. And then what became available really required me to expand in my own belief in myself, my own belief in what I deserve, my own belief in what I'm worth. And if we're going to be on this whole like spiritual growth journey, growing into believing in ourselves more and more, not a bad thing, not a bad idea at all. So I just share that story with you because it felt like a little bit of a roller coaster ride. There were definitely some moments where I was really questioning and doubting. And then when it all unfolded and became what it became, I was like, and ultimately, we're just so grateful to have this hard asset. We can go stay in it whenever we want to. We're going to be hosting people there. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. And I'm going to turn that over to you. Where are you at with what you believe you deserve? Where are you at? If you could just do an honest, non-critical, totally loving self-assessment of, do you really believe in yourself? Do you really believe that you can have what it is that you desire? Have you suppressed your desire to the point where you're not even willing to be honest with yourself about what you really want, ultimately because you don't believe that you can do it, or don't believe that you can have it, or don't believe that it's possible? Because I really think, at least I can speak from this experience, and I can certainly speak from other experiences too, as I've manifested things. It really is a journey of opening our hearts to ourselves and being willing to receive more, increasing our capacity to receive more good, to experience more good. And the truth is, we are not conditioned to do that. We are conditioned to tough it out. We are conditioned to suffer. We're conditioned to sacrifice. We're not conditioned to, in a pleasurable way, receive more and more good, right? That's not the cultural conversation. That's not the societal conversation. That's not in our embedded subconscious programming. It is up to us and the guidance of our divine. I believe that the divine guides all of us. It's up to us to open up to that guidance, right? It's up to us to challenge ourselves in shifting those patterns of belief, shifting those patterns of emotion. And that's one of the reasons that I brought up Joe Dispenza in this, because he really does teach you to get into the subconscious through his style of meditation. And in a way, it holds you spiritually accountable to your emotions, right? He just says it point blank, like, we get addicted to our emotions. And when we are programmed to suffer and programmed to suck it up and programmed to tough it out, and then that becomes our norm, then we become addicted to that. If we're not feeling that way, it feels off. And so it really does take us to train ourselves, to train our mindset, to train our language, to teach the body, as Joe Dispenza says, how it feels to experience good, how it feels to believe in ourselves more, how it feels to take a stand for ourselves in a greater way, and to take steps on a greater path for ourselves. So I challenge you to do that loving internal inventory. And of course, if you're not already, pop in one of his free YouTube meditations, because they're all over. And stay tuned, because I have more stories, more teachings, more inspiration coming. And of course, definitely, if you listen to this episode, if it made a difference for you, then say hi on Instagram. You can message me there. If you're not following, it's at Nicole Renee Ray. You can also, if you're on email list, which if you're not, you should be, you can always reply back to one of those emails and I respond directly. So, okay, my loves, I can't wait to share the next amazing story and connect with you. I'll see you in the next one.